We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such. I know y'all tired of it, but we got a new season of The Past. Welcome to season 8, the Mamba Year. Podcast available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of your podcast platforms. Here you'll get a dose of content related to tech, the productivity world, and most importantly, how to be a better you. The theme for this year, personally, is receiving grace. And we definitely want to do better with receiving it and being open to being a better us from who we were a year ago. So this is season 8 of The Past, and I hope you all enjoy.
What it is, what it do, how we feeling. Alright, we got our audio back to its somewhat normalcy. Had some back and forth days with the weather not being the best. Me being real particular about where I'm walking, how I'm walking. So that's why the recordings were a little off for this week. But you know, we gonna make it be what it be and do what we do. This walk has given me an opportunity to reflect and really think of something that I've been toying with or wanting to toy with again, of making my shows, returning my shows back to weekly. Um, I have not made this announcement official yet, so if you get to hear this show a little earlier, then you'll know. But I will talk about it on my main show. All of that being said, however, we have bumped the storage for the weekly shows. So initially, and to you all, it's not going to be a big deal because the shows will go up one way or the other. However, I've had to delay some recordings, delay some opportunities to upload based on storage space and storage size. And what I mean by that is, with the application or program that I use to record the podcast, aka Buzzsprout, they went from initially being so I was normally doing 6 hours upload storage per month, which was fine, which to this day I still thought it was a good amount. But the thing started happening. And what the thing is I'm finding myself going after more opportunities to record and upload. And if I'm being a little transparent about it, I've also put more resources in front of me to be able to do that, i.e. the wireless lavalier mics. I think I got 2 sets. I still got my OG set. I don't use those as often, but the newer one has probably become my favorite set to use, because not only do I get 2 microphones, but I also get way clearer content. So with that being the case, I've gone away from the 6 hour and we moved up to 12. So now, yeah, it's a little bit more pricey, of course, but if it's going to incentivize or give me a better effort or drive to want to upload or share thoughts, why not take advantage of it? Um, if you have or have not observed with the walks, simple. Either it's going to be a 20-minute or a 40-minute. I've been in limbo, somewhat on the fence with the Saturdays, only because of where I'm walking. Sometimes it's good to just focus on the walk or focus on self. So I'm not as gun ho or as quick to pull out the recording equipment and start uploading and creating content. So it's a little delayed or a little different in those scenarios. But otherwise, if the opportunity presents itself, then you got to take your chances and hope for the best. And that's kind of what I've been doing. And I think it's been helping me get through some of my personal things, which many folks who know me offline have talked with about it. But online, I don't really want to uncover that layer too much, only because it's an internally handled matter, if you will. So yeah, all that being mentioned, we are now at a 12-hour cap for the podcast. So the weekly shows or bi-weekly shows, the walkcast, the whole nine will all be available, and it won't put as much of a strain or delay on recording. And if I'm being real, I experienced it a little bit on my last flow or rotate of shows because I had hit the end near the end of the month or the billing cycle or whatever. And I realized I was like, I don't have storage or enough space to upload everything that I would like to. And I personally do not like that or don't like it. So I don't want to cut you all short on a good opportunity to receive a message. So I was like, to avoid all of that, let's just turn things up a notch a little bit. So we've gone over that for close to 8 minutes. I have to remember to count ahead a little bit. But I want to talk about claim your challenges and why it's important to be aware that of the obvious. You're human. You're going to have some obstacles. You're going to have some bumps. You're going to have some things that just come about that others just aren't going to understand, don't care to understand, aren't interested in understanding. But you personally have to claim whatever those challenges are and not look at others to be, for lack of a better term, to be that source of claiming your obstacle or your battle. We've talked about this, or it's come up in dialogue numerous times about how important it is to be accountable and how the term accountability has been such a, lack of a better term, a misinterpreted or misused word or phrase. And the truth of the matter is accountability is more internal than it is external. You can't come to others and say, hey, hold me accountable with blah, blah, blah. You can say that to people and look for that to happen, but you are not their responsibility. Even with children, children cannot rely on adults to help them get up for school. It's not a parent's job to get someone to do something that they need to do themselves. All right. So I did part one and was having a few technical hiccups and technical difficulties, but we're gonna just let this one ease right into part two and make it be what it be and do what we do. So as I mentioned, challenging, how do you handle the challenges or handle the obstacles that come with whatever you're working on? Because as we all know, challenges are gonna happen. Challenges are gonna roam about. And the reality is people are gonna be available to help you where they can, but you are not their you are not their obligation. They're not your obligation. They're not your priority. To add to that, and I got introduced to this message not too long ago, but your emergency is not my problem. Plain and simple. People will have something happen to them. And, it's, well, I know if if you can help, it's appreciated. If you can, I fully understand. They would prefer that you help. But not everyone is as understanding of I can't give, I can't expensing time is tough for a lot of us. And in some instances, it's tough only because, it's the age old phrase or the age old theory of like, we make things tougher than what they are, or we make things more challenging than meets the eye. Um, and in some cases, I'm not going to say all, but some cases, it's, it's taking the time to really look at something for what it's worth or what it is, right? Like we understand that, we get that. But when you're having to experience it and acknowledge it firsthand, whole different ballgame. Um, your your life, believe it or not, will have and has already had some challenges and or obstacles. The big question becomes, hey, this thing just popped up, literally came out of nowhere. How do I how do I overcome or how do I maneuver through said obstacle? Because again, everybody else is going through whatever they got going on. And you can only expect as much that others can provide during those circumstances of the experience. Because again, folks got their own stuff going on. And some cases we don't consider that or we're selectively considerate of it. Um I've grown to love where I'm at with a lot of things and with a lot of people. And it's more than anything, it's been more of a okay, big scope, big picture. Let's look at this whole thing through. And for most individuals, that ain't their thing. And it's cool if it's cool if it ain't your thing, but it's helpful to make it your thing for the sake of, for the most part. So um your some sometimes you're gonna be placed in a position not necessarily to be challenged, but to embrace whatever the world is bringing. And it's not going to really be at 2:23 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. You will experience insert thing here. Just not how it works. in many instances, it's just going to happen, and you either got to take it or you got to see see what the consequences could possibly become from not taking it. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, and I'm only pausing with this because this next part it's gonna get a little dicey, but it's also a way for me to share some other news that, again, I'm gonna share more of this in depth during the weekly shows. Like I said, I'm in limbo because I'm thinking about tomorrow. Do I want to break out of my shell with doing the weekly shows again? Uh, Ironically, I've set up to attend a an um, in person writing event. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I just thought about it. So that's downtown. I may have to think about it because I really do want to. I really want to get that routine going again. So backstory, and then I'll talk about the engagement element. At the beginning of this year, actually the end of last year, I attended a went to a local coffee shop and had never been there before. Didn't really give much thought to it, but it was like, okay, this is a vibe, and go ahead, kind of get it cracking, make it happen, whatever. So I started, and I went on a whim because my friend invited me to just kind of sit and have coffee, catch up on life, things of that nature. Not actual catch up, the condiment, but catching up. And while we were there, folks started coming in. Then folks started coming in. Then folks really started coming in because it was like end of the year and it was going almost into the new year. And people were coming there for an event called Shut Up and Write. It was a meetup group. So the owner and or leader of that group, he came over and was like, yeah, we do these every other week. You're welcome to come in, make this kind of your thing and use it as an opportunity. And it was a good opportunity for me to work on my newsletter. And I did. And I, stuck with it, made the newsletter writing a task or an opportunity on those Saturdays. Even when as far as joining a separate group that was done um, on the West End called Right Now. I've talked about this on the show a while back, but I say all of that because at the time I was really invested, really dedicated. And I'd say probably since either February, definitely March, it cut down and kind of almost cut off. It was like cut off and it was like, I don't really see me gaining anything from doing this. But what's funny is since then, my morning routine has like done a full flip because remember, I've done the 10K and after the 10K, my trainer threw in a bit of a challenge, but it's also been a good opportunity to get up and get moving, which is um, go out, go walking for a certain amount of miles. So now that's really reminding me, incentivizing me to say, hey, if I can get up this time and do this, I can now add in this opportunity. Plus, it's at a location that I actually like going to. So I'm giving all that information just to share that I'm attending the next Shut Up and Write in quite a few months. Now, people may remember me there, they may not, but I think it's good because it's an opportunity for me to get back on that horse and like really start dedicating my effort to writing again. But engagement. I removed and got rid of, and I probably will be doing it again soon. I've released a lot of accounts that were overly engaging, but overly engaging with like the worst intent, in my opinion. Because I get it, and this is gonna sound obvious, but I'm also saying it because it's relevant to this conversation. Sex sells, we know that. But I don't need people to, hey, so and so posted this thing, and I can't believe they're out here doing this. And it's leading you to pretty much a, a quick fix of a flick, for lack of a better term. And it's like, okay, cool, you got the engagement from the view of that. It's gonna generate likes, it's gonna generate comments. You're getting what it's fulfilled or intended to do. But if that's all you have, it's almost like you're forcing yourself. Hey, I'm forcing myself to get this thing out there just so I can get people to embark on my page and to monetize. You don't see it, and I'm before I go further, you don't see it. Like I've had to release people or let folks, like unfriend folks who they added me, or someone was like, hey, check out the like page, and I go to the like page and it's really nothing on there. But then they've got a personal page and they add me as a friend. And then all of a sudden they're trying to just post, post, post. So much so to the point where I'm like, I don't really have a thrill about this. So therein becomes where the fun begins, because its sister site, Instagram, you don't get this. You're not getting that same type of interaction. You're posting for engagement on Instagram, but you're then put in a bubble because do you pay to boost? Do you go all out with how your thoughts are shared, et cetera, et cetera? Um, I reference those things because now I have someone sent me a post incentivizing engagement with Twitter or X. I don't care what anybody says. They can call it X all they want to. Even if you don't have the bird up there, it's still Twitter to me. Sorry, not sorry. Uh, so they are posting. The guy posted. A friend of mine sent me a direct message, and they put this video. They put this message saying, they weren't sure how they would have an opportunity to earn some extra income, trying to find like ways to embark, for lack of a better term, embark on the utilization of what comes with this app. Because the app had, let's face it, there are a lot of people who are on Twitter just on there to write. They write posts and they go. They don't like much. They don't repost much. If they repost, they're reposting things that others have reposted from them. And it's important. And why I'm saying it's important is because it's an enjoyable amount of interaction and you're getting paid for it. So it got me to thinking, okay, I've been off the off the grid a little bit with Twitter, even Threads. But now I'm like, it's time to. I don't think Threads is doing monetization yet. And the only reason I'm saying is because, and you'll know, when ads start getting hard baked into your visual, here we are. Because some people are going to pay to play. It's just a proven fact. Um, I do like the new integration where if you post a story on Instagram, or not a story, but if you post on your page on Instagram, it automatically goes to threads. And I think that's good engagement. Um, I don't know because I've not, well, I've tried it, but curious to see if you do 20 pictures or 20 different photos and videos on Instagram, do all 20 of them come over to threads? Just thoughts that are running rampant. Not really, but you catch my drift. Um, so this now leads to a more intriguing yet honest conversation. Where do I take threads, or how do I mean not threads? How do I get X to get that necessary interaction to get people to come to my page and also join in on the festivities? So of course I'm looking up the process and I'm like, all right, how do you get ads or how do you get revenue from monetizing on X? So when you go online, the first thing they're telling you, at least for the initial monetization, which is almost like subscribing to your profile, is you got to be verified. Now, I've been on Twitter slash X for over this year. I think this year will be 17 years that I've been on the platform. I've had the same page. I've had the same maintenance and handling of my page. I think I went to, back then it was Twitter jail, went once. Um, just one of those things. So fast forward, here it is now. I'm like, do I really want to put that type of time and effort into my business or into my profile? And on top of that, do I want my personal profile to be that profile that gets that engagement? So I sat with it, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Let's take the plunge. So I went through the process to get my page verified. It is currently verified. It is verified without identification because I'm still not 100% on board with doing things and your identification being needed to verify me. Now, to be fair, yes, I do know if a if you're going to do ads or you're going to do collection of money, they're gonna have to verify you. They gotta verify you via bank, via information. So I get those factors, but I'm always skeptical and hesitant when it comes to needing identification. So I'm talking about that. I'm sharing that with you all now because it's really made me challenge, move, maneuver, and operate on said platform. So at one point, like I said, I didn't tweet. I would go days without tweeting. Now I'm finding opportunities where if I can get on there and at least post something, at least it's getting some engagement and it's getting some conversation. Now I think a lot of people have went the verified route because more individuals posts will come up on my page that I'm not even following. But it's a way to heighten or boost their engagement. Because some engagement could be, hey, I clicked on your post, I saw you posted, I want to see what you got going on. I'm not gonna like it, I'm not gonna retweet it, I'm not gonna quote it, but I at least want to go to your profile, see what you got going on. And the truth of the matter is, especially with Twitter or X or whatever, people are nosy. the nosiness level with X is insane. Sometimes people will go on there, and you have like literally folks who invest their time just lurking. They're not looking for anything. They're not interested in anything. They're not interested in anyone. They just want to see what was said. Heaven forbid, because it's not a thing anymore, but heaven forbid someone subtweets another person. Because we got to see what they said, of course. We got to know. We got to know if they got to know if they're being talked about. I'm sharing that because I think personally it is a undervalued opportunity to get more content shared via Twitter. Now it's funny because now, thanks to, I call them the API gods, but the API debauchery, you are now limited where your tweets, like if I post something on Instagram, it won't automatically post to Twitter anymore. I think they cut that feature out like well over a year ago. And for a lot of content creators, it became a little challenging. Like even in different conversations I'm currently having where you're having to almost, for lack of a better term, educate people on like, hey, it don't matter what time of the day you post stuff anymore. Like it does, but it doesn't. Because if it's gonna hit a person's newsfeed, it's gonna hit their newsfeed. You have no, you have control over it, but you don't have as much control as you think you do. And sometimes it's hard to get that message across to people with how, I call it the ups and downs of social media. It's like the ups and downs of social media, but it's also the facts of life. I'm saying all that as I wrap up that you're going to be put in position to really learn how to engage but not overwhelm in the spaces of social media. Because let's face it, people want they want to get the information you have or that you're sharing, but they also don't want to be just sent messages just because you post online. And sometimes it can be a very blind yet awkward push and pull, but you need that push and pull sometimes for folks to be involved as necessary. Um, so don't be surprised if you are on my X profile and you see me more out there with what I'm sharing. The extra shares is not to bombard people and to be an obnoxious social media person, but it's also an opportunity to get folks to hear me be me and not be and more importantly be unapologetic in being me. Um, I've been I've been on the tech creative wave now at least 5 or 6 years. I didn't realize the extent of that until really stepping back and looking at how my page and how my process with the internet has changed. The truth is, you you get more. I guess it's the truest phrase, but it hits when you really understand it. You get more bees with honey, so you get more people on your page by sharing and talking about things that are of interest. Now, acknowledge the elephant in the room that I'm out. No pun intended. The elephant in the donkey does not need to get you the engagement. And that's a very, very open and honest statement from me, only because I have seen people who will do everything possible to go out of their way to share various thoughts and feelings. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's your page, post what you want, speak on how you feel. But we all don't need to post about the same thing. Like, even right now, like, I announced it on my page a while back. I have an Amazon storefront, but having a storefront and using a storefront are two different things. It would almost be like you bought a store and or you rented a place to have a store, but you don't put nothing in the store, let alone you don't open the store. It's the same way with this storefront that I have. I really gotta crack this code, especially I would say in the last 4 months. There's a lot of stuff that I've gotten via Amazon that has been helpful in people's like purchases or tech needs or whatever. So again, as I close, manage your engagement. Don't make the process harder than what it needs to be. And just value where you're going and who's going to be there if you keep evolving. As always, this is BT. I hope y'all have an amazing day. And I will talk to y'all possibly this weekend when we do our weekly show. All right? Y'all take care.
Truly hope you all enjoyed the show. Definitely was a lot to unpack, but I know you'll walk away with something important. As I share at the end of each season, do find your way to get into podcasting if it's something you would like to do. My podcasts are currently recorded via Buzzsprout. Been very good to me. If you want to learn more about using them, definitely hit me up at thepastbtpod@gmail.com. And also the microphone that you're hearing me on is the Blue Yeti X. Have been rolling with it for over 3 years. We've been doing this ride for quite some time, so I hope someone could find this mic useful. Again, find those people who are good or helpful in what you're trying to do to be better today than you were yesterday. The primary goal is to be 1% better. Hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll be back again to do this next time.